SEC tournament. What a time to be alive in Music City.
It is March. Let the celebration begin. Oh my goodness!
He got it for the win!
Unbelievable!
Best basketball that we have ever seen.
Bridgestone Arena, the place to be in Nashville, Tennessee for Game 1 of the SEC Men's Basketball Tournament. The 9-seed Kentucky Wildcats getting set to tangle with LSU, the 16-seed, to start our coverage. Oweh, second team All-SEC, leading scorer for the Cats in the house, ready for one more run. And joining him in that backcourt, Denzel Aberdeen, the Florida transfer, second leading scorer. The time is now for UK to get the job done in the postseason. Greg, it looks like this, the first of 4 matchups headed your way on this opening Wednesday. Kentucky, LSU, Auburn, and Mississippi State concludes the afternoon session. OU and South Carolina, Texas, and Ole Miss later tonight. So glad you could join us. He's John Crispin. I'm Roy Philpott. Welcome to our broadcast position. And for Big Blue Nation, they are ready to make a run, and it starts early at least, yes. They hope.
Like most teams, Kentucky's had to deal with the inconsistency that comes from injuries and availability. But regardless of who's available, they still have the talent, the length, and the athleticism to live up to the expectations. This is a team that comes in, I feel, with a hot start, with a little bit of urgency, could change the table a bit.
Mark Pope hoping his team can bounce back after a rough conclusion to the end of the regular season. And in case you missed the memo, these two teams, well, they did their battle some 56 days ago. And for Mark Pope and the Cats, it was of the comeback variety. They trailed for 36 minutes in Baton Rouge. Late, after rallying Colin Chandler, Malachi Moreno, the desperation, and it counts. 75-74, the final, a turning point for UK early in the season as well as for LSU, John.
You look at Kentucky, establishing, dictating, and sustaining the game has been a challenge all season. I understand the lack of continuity due to injury and availability. That's a real thing. The difference is if you apply urgency, the same urgency that we've seen throughout the course of late season, you apply that urgency early, cut with urgency, communicate with urgency, defend with urgency, you establish a game that favors you. Kentucky wants pace, urgency helps you get it.
13 different games this season. The Cats have trailed by 10 points or more in the first 20 minutes. Their record in those contests, 5-8. Can they get off to the faster start today? Try to right the ship.
Sometimes it's harder when you're the more talented team. You don't understand what it takes to really live up to the expectations at this level. I think those expectations are partly due to the talent you have. The other part is it's Kentucky basketball.
Great crowd on hand, as you would expect. Although I don't think that many fans had Kentucky in the first game of the SEC tournament on their bingo card really at any point in the regular season or going back to last year's offseason.
Well, I think Kentucky fans at this point, the expectations are high. They're looking for a reason to be optimistic here early on a Wednesday.
Moreno, Nwoko. Underway in Nashville, the opening tip controlled by LSU. Tigers coming off a triple overtime home setback to Texas A&M. Their last time out, Nwoko high off the glass and gets it to go. Cats led by Oweh and Aberdeen, Colin Chandler, Jelavic, Moreno. We will see Cam Williams at some point today as well. That is a big piece of breaking news for Kentucky in its run in this year's postseason. Shot clock under 10, and Chandler off the mark. Rebound grab by Moreno. Aberdeen swatted away by Markel Sutton. And the Omaha transfer off and running. Nwoko off the top of the backboard on the putback.
When you want a hot start, you can't be out-efforted to start the game. 2 straight possessions where they played a little bully ball with Nwoko.
Against the zone, Nwoko closed out on Chandler. A little bit of contact. The Bayou Bengals starting 5 is familiar with no Jalen Reed, no DJ Thomas, and also without the services of Robert Miller today due to a violation of team rules. Cats on the board. Oweh.
To get Oweh in transition, but also good to get pace on this game. That's where this Wildcats team thrives. When they can put a pace on the game, that's something they can sustain throughout, gives them a heavy advantage.
Last time out for Kentucky. Home loss on senior day against Florida. Gators projected as a 1 seed. They are the talk of the town here in Nashville. Can they go back-to-back? Reese off the back iron. Oweh clears. Oweh in rhythm, and Moreno in and out. He missed the chippy. Moreno got tangled up, and the freshman called for his first foul.
LSU being aggressive to start. I mean, just getting to the rim, second chance opportunities. Mike Nwoko's is just an absolute monster. Got to work to keep him off the glass, and the more you can get quickly in transition. Now, transition's not just dribble right down, get a layup. Transition's also the early ball screen that led to an easy opportunity, just one Moreno missed.
Oweh went for the steal. Sutton. First shot for McKinnon. And a big miss. He is a rhythm shooter. If he gets going early, that's a good sign for LSU.
He's got to create good, high percentage rhythm threes, both for he and on the other end, Chandler.
Jelavic inside, a big man move, a patient finish. We're tied at 4.
But what I like about that, it was quick and decisive. Sometimes moving the basketball too much for Kentucky allows the defense to reset, get set, identify, get their communication up.
McKinnon surveys, delivers the pump fake, and the rejection. Jelavic saved by Tombo. Shot clock at 8. Reese wants it, takes it, elbow J, no. Oweh active on the boards. LSU 5 consecutive misses. We talked about the start, ultra important for Kentucky. Didn't take its shoot around here in Nashville yesterday. That had a lot of people talking on social media. Jelavic will keep them talking. He's got 4. Cats with their first lead.
Jelavic off the bounce is a real threat. Doesn't really bring a ton of help, and you have to respect the shot. So his ability to get to the rim is huge.
McKinnon, quick trigger, all net from deep.
I think that matchup right there, Chandler and McKinnon, who can have the best? I mean, it's not just about the 3 points that are made, it's about the space you create on the floor. Now, Chandler took 2 tough threes to start, and you got to wonder, is his confidence high?
Chandler baseline, delivers the skip. Jelavic, early heat check, and it's good. Cats back in front, 9-7. Reese will play the 2-man game. Sutton, the response. Former Summit League Player of the Year a season ago in Omaha.
I just think the contrast between the two teams in the contest right now. One team at LSU should be playing freely. Kentucky, I think there's still immense pressure.
Chandler delivers off glass. Rhythmic start here, a good start offensively for both sides in Nashville.
I love when they let it get physical here early. Let the players establish the game.
McKinnon, the runner, too strong. Tomba crashing the offensive glass.
A lot of rotational offensive rebounding opportunities for LSU as Kentucky tends to get chasing and doesn't communicate well defensively.
Nwoko probes. Throws one up, bailout whistle, and if that's Moreno, that's his second.
I think a decent start for Kentucky. Now, there have been a couple possessions where they get slow, but when they're quick and decisive, get the ball into an advantage situation and attack. Jelavic, he's quite the advantage himself. Threat from 3, so you play up. He just breaks it off and finishes at the rim. Good start for Kentucky, still room for improvement, though.
I just think if you're Mark Pope, you live with Oweh right now.
He gets the basketball. He drives. He puts it on! And in with a half second to go. Oweh did it again to Oklahoma. Kentucky will win it.
Oweh has a knack for handling his business against his former team. That was a year ago, another season in which the Cats were unable to win an SEC tournament championship. 31 in all the last time coming in 2018. And for Mark Pope, he would love to change all of that right here, right now, John.
Well, Oweh is one of those guys who benefits from pace. You get a defense chasing, you get a defense moving. They're not in position to help and deter a driving lane, close a gap. The faster they play, the more opportunities open.
Was the second foul on Moreno. Well, he'll have a breather, an extended period on the Kentucky bench.
The play that led to this foul didn't look like the most athletic of basketball plays, but it leads to an opportunity at the free throw line.
And Nwoko makes him pay, and I would agree with that. The whistle came in very late, and you're wondering, is it going to come at all given the weirdness of the shot? Dioubate on the floor for the first time. He comes in as well as Brandon Garrison. Oweh off the screen, navigating right side of the paint, and a chance for three.
Great job. Out of an almost dead ball situation where free throws lead to a bit of a walk-up, you get into a quick hitter action. And this is not something that's going to be slowly developing. You get into action quickly, and it puts Oweh in a situation where he's able to curl and create for himself. The longer it takes for a play to develop, the easier it is to defend Kentucky.
5 straight makes for the Cats after Oweh's three-point delivery.
I know any opposing coach would love to say define easy.
I don't think any coach thinks anything is easy
not.
this time of year. When March arrives, you are hanging on by a thread. Reese inside. Boy, his confidence has grown, taken over for the injured DJ Thomas, and Matt McMahon talked about that with us yesterday. And you can see it on the floor in his aggressiveness.
Well, he's got to be aggressive because he's got to challenge the Kentucky defense and their urgency.
Now the Tigers injury riddled to say the least. Second straight year for Matt McMahon having to deal with that. 15 and 16 and a bunch of close losses. And with Reed and Thomas out again in this postseason run, that roar you heard, Cam Williams back on the floor for the first time in 49 days. The broken foot surgery 2 days later after the game against Texas. And perhaps a spark for Mark Pope when they really need a shot.
Well, a spark or at least just an emotional lift. At this point in the season, that could be as important as anything.
Getting short, cleared by Dioubate. Touch for Williams. Well, he was playing some good basketball before the injury. Garrison inside. Cats by 2.
Good recognition. Ball stays ball side. Garrison had position and he didn't give it up, so the ball had to go inside. A little easy left shoulder right hook. Also the beneficiary of the fact that we don't call 3 seconds anymore.
We do not. Why is that the case?
I don't know. Making a point of emphasis, they'll call it.
Stolen. Here comes Oweh. He had eyes in the back of his head, avoiding the turnover from Reese, crashing down. Touch for Williams. Garrison for 3. LSU the other way, and Sutton took his eye off the ball, out of bounds. A careless turnover.
Garrison got position, and sometimes that's the most important thing. Play your offense early if you have an advantage in the post. That means win position. You win position, more often than not, you're scoring.
Now this SEC tournament chock-filled with storylines, teams on the bubble trying to improve their resume. We will see one of those teams coming up after this first matchup with Auburn and Mississippi State. Dioubate, Nwoko snuck in for the help side D in the block. Open 3 from the corner for King, and King splashes home a triple.
LSU seeking out quick shot opportunities, and it's a similar approach where you just don't want to play against a set Kentucky defense. Last couple buckets have come quickly.
King was efficient in their first matchup in mid-January. 3 of 6 from deep as LSU to start. Tigers lead it by 1. Pass is rifled to Dioubate, now to Williams around the horn. Aberdeen, no. And Reese corrals.
LSU should continue to push, get guys flat, get the defense moving early.
Good look to Tombo, rejected by Garrison. Better defense that time, protecting the rack. They set up a play for Williams. He was directing traffic. Instead, it's Oweh, the mid-range.
It's the simple little screen action where you're so concerned with Oweh turning the corner hard so the defender gets back and gets in front, but it leaves an open jump shot opportunity for Oweh. He can play at any layer, and I think that's what makes him such a threat.
Really has been Kentucky's most consistent performer this season for Mark Pope. Goes without saying, the leading scorer, preseason player of the year in the league. Nwoko, missed the chippy. Garrison, who wants it? Oweh, back to Nwoko, and now Garrison. It'll go to UK.
Oweh's got 7 points, and that could start adding up quickly because the best option's often the first option. He should be first, second, and third option. Tough to defend somebody who can get to the basket, but also pull up from jumper. Simple pin downs might be where they go.
Spectacular with the gold confetti falling down behind the bracket. Winner of this game gets Mizzou tomorrow, the early start back here on SEC Network. Our second matchup later this afternoon, Auburn and Mississippi State. The winner will get Tennessee, 3 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, back here on SEC Network. So the first of 4 underway in Music City. And a 1-point lead for the Kentucky Wildcats. And points in the paint, UK starting to assert itself. We've seen that a little bit with Garrison and Jelavic shot. Not to mention Oweh. He's got 7 ripped away by Nwoko. Jelavic with 7, Oweh with 7. Sutton missed the layup. Let's get it back. Jasper Johnson on the floor.
In a way, LSU is creating the pace that Kentucky should be able to thrive with. And these quick hitters, that's the way you want to play if you're Kentucky. LSU's been winning the battle in terms of scoring within the first 15 seconds of the shot clock. If Kentucky can get aggressive and play almost with a 15-second clock, I think they can walk away with an easy win.
Their expectation, LSU doesn't want to speed this one up. Reese off the left side, Oweh clears. He's got 9 points, 5 rebounds to start. Whipping around to Williams, his first shot, and it's good. Welcome back, Cam Williams.
But that was deliberate. They threw the ball inside, they kicked it out, got defense chasing 1 extra pass. You get an open 3, again a quick hitter. Don't let the defense set.
Kentucky surging, a 7-0 run. Big possession for LSU. Nwoko against the smaller Johnson. Second time today he's gotten the whistle. He'll shoot 2.
Now look, it's good to see Cam Williams get an open 3. I think the crowd likes to see this. This gives you hope. But what I like most is the fact that they were deliberate in getting into creating an advantage, which means you're getting defense to chase. You make 1 extra pass, you get a high-quality 3. And get Williams back into the season rhythm. Something he's been out, since January 21st?
Go back even a little bit further than that. He missed 12 games 49 days ago. But to come back from a broken foot and then foot surgery just 48 hours later is beyond impressive.
Modern medicine and immortals.
How long would it take you to come back from a broken foot? The outside of the foot there, too. Not easy.
4 to 6 months?
Yeah, really. Just like the rest of us. Nwoko, 1 more free throw. 8 points to pace LSU early.
LSU's done a good job recognizing when Kentucky gets switched up. They just throw it into Nwoko, and they're just going to force him to play over the top. Backside's got to be there when they recognize the mismatch.
He had a double-double against Texas A&M in triple overtime. Jasper Johnson. In rhythm. Kentucky shooting 55%. That lead expands to 6. Oweh against Dioubate. Double team. Jelavic trips over. Oweh. Could have been 3. Oh. And it was. Well, you asked for it. You got it there with a 3-second violation.
That was too easy to call, though, because he had the ball in his hands. Right in front of the official. I think there are times when you watch offense and you think, wow, that was a great possession. The reality is they didn't run anything. Sometimes just getting into action that gets defense chasing allows you to flow a little bit, make reads early in the possession. That's the best offense.
Cats have made 10 of 14. Johnson, pass deflected. Oweh on the deck. Dioubate joins him. And the arrow favors Big Blue. Well, tomorrow, right here on the SEC Network, the ESPN app, our next SEC Inside grants you an all-access pass to the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament, 6 Eastern, 5 Central. You'll get never-before-seen footage and sounds from players and coaches down in Greenville, a real behind-the-scenes look. And congrats to Vic Schaefer and the Texas Longhorns for their tournament championship, concluding back on Sunday in the Palmetto State. And now Matt McMahon instructing Oweh, his junior forward from Toronto, on the sideline. Has Matt McMahon called a single break in his LSU tenure with the injuries? It's unbelievable.
He's been pretty gracious about it, too.
Won't use it as an excuse, but it's a big factor. Williams. Back iron outside Aberdeen. Dioubate, the brilliant spin, the rejection by Tamba. Jelavic tries to rip it away, and the held possession goes back to LSU.
Not a bad possession for Kentucky, just couldn't get it go. Multiple good looks. Sometimes it's just better defense. They keep going back to it. There are times where you could bog your own offense down by trying to do too much. The simplest action creates opportunity for Kentucky.
Round of applause for Williams, who steps off the floor. We expect to see him, John, what would you say, at least 10 minutes a day? I do believe he's on a pitch count. We don't know the exact number, but it's going to be around there.
Play-by-play term is sparingly.
Good job by you. Garrison. Foul inside. It goes against Kentucky.
Kind of a catch-22 if you're LSU. You want to slow the game down in theory. At the same time, you don't want to play against a set defense. So they've taken quick shots, but they've been able to get back and get defense set, which then slows the game down for Kentucky, which is very disruptive for a potent team like Kentucky.
First foul, Dioubate. Combo to hesitation. Up and under. Gets it to go and was hit hard after the bucket. Dioubate can't believe it.
Oh, that was textbook. We see a ton of travels in college basketball that don't get called. You watch the NBA, it's even more ridiculous. This is good stuff. That was a travel. I take it all back. He picked up his pivot foot, but everything was good. That is a true up and under. Up and under. He may have shuffled a little bit, but it looked nice.
Hey, that's like the first day, junior varsity practice, 7th grade, and they start teaching big man moves. A little drop step and pivot, up and under.
Well, nowadays, you put guards in the post to develop good footwork. That's where you want the ball to go. You get in the post, you use footwork to play out of it. You put bigs around the perimeter because as ball movers, they're dangerous.
2 fouls in 11 seconds on Dioubate. He's on Mark Polk's bench. And they may want to take a look at that last sequence. KB Burdett.
The call on the floor is a common foul against Kentucky number 23 with a made basket. This plays under further review for the contact to the head. This is an official's review.
Todd Austin and Rob Rourke will join him. We'll take 2 looks. Crispin, what are we thinking here?
I thought it was a good hard foul, but they're probably going to upgrade it because that's what it says in the rule book.
Another story for another day. We'll give you the end result on the collision inside after this. Point lead for Kentucky. And the verdict is in.
Following the review, the common foul has been upgraded to a flagrant 1 foul for number 23 from Kentucky. Number 8 from LSU is eligible after the timeout. He has 2 shots, LSU will get the ball on the baseline, even though it's an and one or a made basket. The penalty for a flagrant one automatically carries a 2-shot penalty with the ball. The ball on the baseline, opposite table side with 20 on the shot clock for LSU following the free throws with the lane space cleared.
And KB Burdett's
Full recitation of the rules book.
We certainly understand better now, don't we?
Yes, we absolutely. We don't have to do as much. I think it's tough. That to me is a basketball play that just happened to hit him in the head. But we do call things to the letter of the law.
Unfortunate sequence for Dioubate. As Tamba shoots 2, LSU gets possession. Always awkward when you're at the free throw line. You're used to everybody being there, and then they're not.
Well, it's awkward when you miss.
Certainly. Tamba, 1 of 2. 1 possession game. One more look. The follow through delivers right in the face of Tamba.
I mean, I get it. If they were wearing gray and not black and white, they may have to consider the nuance. That's kind of what happens in a game.
LSU takes advantage. Kinnan will trigger. LSU at this point in their first and only meeting 52 days ago. Off and running in Baton Rouge. Nwoko delivers, 1-point game.
I like that action where he just kind of flashes up around the elbow and then they clear with little dummy action, camouflage. It clears the paint and allows him to make a play.
Crispin, we talked about the start or the lack of fast starts for Kentucky this year. Chandler for 3. That'll feel good for BBN. Kind of a slower than expected start after all the rigmarole yesterday of not practicing here in the arena and starting their practice back in Lexington at the same time as tip-off here today.
And if you're Mark Pope, you're seeing some options that you need to start to go to. Those are going to be quick hitters. Max McKinnon gets a tough one to go. Yeah, this LSU team, you think slow it down, but they've been aggressive on the offensive end the second they get the ball.
Kinnon's got 5. After the 3 by Chandler, he'll get it back. Chandler probing, up and under. Chandler delivers.
Chandler had 2 ugly ones to start. You wonder where his confidence would be. Well, he's starting to assert himself after the one made 3.
Lead back to 4. Here's Carter, who just checked in. Aberdeen controls.
This is where you've got to put pace on the game. No need to slow it for Kentucky.
Oweh.
No need to take that shot either.
It was an early trigger as he pulled the 3. McKinnon, Nwoko with a pass. Too strong. Nwoko with 10. He's got 4 rebounds. You're looking at Kentucky expecting the Cats to push it a little bit, right?
They're not, although they're still getting where they want. Now, the more you find balance on the floor, which means multiple guys involved in the action, not just Ortega, Oweh, Chandler, this is a tough 3, but it's one that gets you going. It makes you a threat. It also builds confidence so you can seek out opportunities. These, again, are quick hitters where you just get into the paint and make a play. The more he's able to score, the more the floor opens up and gets easier for everybody else.
Second team foul called against LSU. Both of those fouls on Rashad King. He actually made his first start of the season against Kentucky on January 14th in Baton Rouge. One more free throw for Oweh. King on the bench. 4 minutes for Cam Williams here in the first half as well.
I think he's bringing energy. You know, sometimes talented teams, the most important player is the guy you define as an X factor. I mean, the best player matters too.
Indeed. Words of wisdom from John Crispin. I expect more of that the further we go into the day. McKinnon. Outside the skip. Oh, Sutton. That's a 3. No, they'll say it's a long 2. Sutton had a foot on the line. 32-28. Aberdeen. That's a 3.
I just like quick hitting options where you've got a guard back. You're not going to give anything up in transition, but you're going to put pace on this game where you will be favored.
Largest lead of our first half at 7. 35-28. is Kentucky. Nwoko, no. The reverse, no. Nwoko, yes. Third time's a charm.
And it can't be selective urgency for Kentucky. That's a possession where you've just got 2 good baskets in a row. Apply urgency on the defensive end.
Aberdeen short. Bucket by Nwoko stopped a 9-2 run for the Cats. McKinnon the reverse. The rim was protection. That'll slice the lead back to 5. And a timeout called. The lead at 5 as we step aside in Nashville. Back in 30 seconds.
Kentucky much better if they just get aggressive early, seek out early shot opportunities. This helps put a pace on the game that will favor Kentucky. The problem is when you get good scoring opportunities, you need to get back at your defense set. Communicate with urgency. LSU's been able to come right back down the floor and answer those with even easier buckets.
Matt McMahon told us yesterday, Denzel Aberdeen, as he goes, so does Kentucky.
Yeah.
And he said we have to find a way to slow him down. In their losses, it is evident he's not putting up the kind of numbers that he can as a Kentucky Wildcat coming in from Florida.
Well, there are multiple possessions on a rebound where Kentucky just kind of walks it up court as opposed to just pushing with urgency. Really put a stress on the game for LSU to start defending the second the rebounds made.
Issues for Kentucky this year. A lot of conversation about substitution patterns. The injuries certainly have piled up. And then also fatigue has been an interesting use of words the last couple of weeks by Mark Pope. Garrison inside. And the jumper puts it back to a 7-point lead.
Good action using Garrison in a handoff situation, and he's able to clear enough space to make a play.
The rush, Sutton out of the Raptors.
That happens fast.
He was looking down on the follow-through. That'll quiet this partisan crowd. Igloo Nation well represented here in Nashville, as you would expect, although we didn't expect to see it in game 1. Oweh from 15. Knocks out by Nwoko and Sutton that time. LSU gets it back.
You're watching tape for LSU. That was a really good defensive possession. Now it helps. You're not looking at Garrison as a threat to shoot the basketball, so you're able to back off, take options away.
Under 4 to go. Entertaining start in Nashville. The SEC men's tournament. Carter. The quick follow-through delivers the 3.
Keep going back to it. You think LSU slow the game down, slow the game down. That's not how they're playing offense, and I think that's what makes them such a great threat.
Garrison picked up by Mike Nwoko. First of 4 games here in Music City today. Aberdeen. The handles and the delivery. That'll stop a 9-2 run in favor of LSU. Jalen Reese going to catch his breath here for a moment, set up the offense. Carter a heat check. Off the left side. Williams grabs a rebound, and Aberdeen says, let's slow this down. Denzel Aberdeen, 7 of the last 9 points by UK. Outside to Chandler. In and out. Big final 2 minutes and change at the end of our first half for LSU. Reese wanted the foul. Looks towards KB Burnett. No whistle. Lead back to 2.
Part of playing good defense is understanding where you want an offensive player to go. Middle of the paint with no help is not where you want to allow that drive.
41-39, still waiting for the under 4 media timeout. Pace has been incredible to start. Timer down to 4. Aberdeen, do what he can. Pops out to Garrison in a fresh 20. LSU jumped out to a 4-0 lead. Here came Kentucky, led by as many as 9. And a foul. Aberdeen's going to shoot 2. After this timeout, Well, LSU, the hang-around team to start here inside Bridgestone Arena. And a couple of buckets. How about the lob? Big to big from the Raptors. Markel Sutton drops it. And the three-pointer moments ago by P.J. Carter. Off the bench for Matt McMahon. LSU in it early here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Should be. Who's dictating this game? It's a little different than what we thought. We thought LSU was going to come in and dictate the game in the sense of slowing it down, just taking air out of the ball. That's not the case. They're playing aggressive on the offensive end. Quick hitters have been there. Mike Nwoko's been terrific when he got the ball early in possessions. They're scoring early and able to set their defense. Just Kentucky's talent you see on the offensive end. They find ways to score.
Cats haven't missed a free throw yet. Aberdeen at the line.
You said it.
It's amazing how that works.
Fun, isn't it?
We'll get one more. 1:21 to go. Entertaining first half. First of 4 games here at Bridgestone today. LSU came to play. 1 of 2 for Aberdeen.
Like this little just extended pressure here. This is something I would look to see in the second half, just to disrupt the rhythm that LSU has had on the offensive end. 39 points on the board.
McKinnon the lob, no won't go. Bothered by Garrison, bumped and fouled. Brandon picks up the personal. Nwoko back to the line.
That's where, as a coach, you just shake your head because the defense is not there to overpressure and put yourself at a disadvantage behind you. The defense is there to be disruptive. You're not gambling, so there's no reason why you give up an easy lob and put Mike Nwoko back to the free throw line.
It's been there a bunch already, and the 5th foul that he's drawn in these first 20 minutes and counting. What does that tell you about LSU's game plan?
I think his mobility is really difficult to prep for. You can say, hey, look, he's a mobile, high motor big, but it's not there until you see it, right? You can't simulate somebody else. You have to play against it. So they're chasing Mike Nwoko. He's won the position battle early.
You can't simulate somebody else. Nwoko cuts it to a 2-point lead.
Well, some people you can simulate. Mike
I
Nwoko,
can't simulate you.
No, but that guy, good luck. You don't have one of those lying around.
Now the transfer from Mississippi State, the coveted big man in the SEC. We talked to so many coaches this year. Have that size and length, means everything in this conference. Garrison, quick delivery.
Yeah, his left shoulder right hook, I mean, that was almost back to the basket, jump in the air, turn. Very confident with that shot.
Johnny's only got 6. It feels like he's got more than that. Nwoko the other way. Garrison the block. And the big fella getting it done on both ends. Chandler deflected by Sutton. Now Oweh. 8-second differential between the clocks. A big final 20 seconds here between LSU and Kentucky. Oweh, ball on a string between the legs. McKinnon, little real estate. He'll shoot 2. Oweh wanted that when it was halfway home.
How about Garrison? Good basket. Yeah, this is a tough finish, and a lot of good things have happened when Garrison's involved. Back to the basket, jump, turn, finish. And then on the defensive end, here's the thing. We're going to show the block, but the best thing he did was got the ball and started pushing it. It's been the challenge for some of the guards to get the ball and run. Garrison pushed it all the way up to half court. And credit Cam Williams on that possession. He's the one who will go screen, got the switch they wanted. Oweh had the advantage over Max McKinnon.
It's great to see Williams back on the floor today. It's the first time in 49 days. And in this first half, we've seen him already play 12 minutes. Brandon Garrison said this week, John, we've got to play together more. We have to find a way. They have done that to a certain extent, leading by 6. Shot clock is off. Jalen Reese weaving through traffic. Big if it goes. And it does. McKinnon at the buzzer.
I'd say good scoring for Kentucky on the surface. There's a lot to clean up defensively. There's more you can do on offense, but I think you have to give credit to LSU. The confidence with which they've played. They've attacked, they've been able to create, they've been able to get chases. And if you can get Max McKinnon open looks, you've got a chance to win this basketball game. Good stuff from LSU on both sides of the ball.
Nwoko with 13. McKinnon suddenly with 10 points to keep LSU in it. Halfway home in game number 1 of the SEC men's tournament. Let's get you over to Peter Burns, Pat Bradley, Ron Slade. Gentlemen. Welcome back to the 2026 SEC Men's Basketball Tournament here in Nashville, Tennessee. Mike Nwoko with 13 first-half points to pace LSU. The Tigers are right there with Oweh, who also scored 13 as the Cats grab the halftime advantage in game one, 46-43. Great energy, great atmosphere, and a great crowd on hand here at Bridgestone Arena. So glad you could join us. The first of 4 matchups today in the opening day of the SEC Men's Basketball Tournament. John Crispin, Roy Philpott. Entertaining start. Yes. I don't know if this is exactly what we expected. Maybe Kentucky fans are a little bit nervous, but it's a fun start. Yeah, it's kind of like a fun dogfight. I mean, both teams looking to score, but you've got to start to think about it. If you're Kentucky, how do you pull away? You've got to capitalize on those early scoring opportunities. And they've got weapons, but weapons are easy to defend if your defense is set. The worst thing Kentucky can do is slow to the point where you allow the LSU defense to get set. Quick hitting options. The first action might be the best shot. That's what's happened in the first half. Kentucky's been good. If you get early opportunities, you put pace on the game, that favors you. The problem is you're playing against a free, kind of a carefree, got nothing to lose LSU team. They've outscored Kentucky in points within 15 seconds in the shot clock. They've played with aggression and pace on the offensive end and then tried to do their best to slow things down in the half court. We had a really good first half. Did not expect LSU to be as aggressive as it was in the early part of their possessions, yet here we are outscoring UK, as you mentioned, by 6 in that department. Yeah, in a way, these short shot clock that you can practice with as you lead up to the season, that preps you for getting into action early. The last thing you want to do is walk it up, play fake offense, and then take a bad shot late in the clock. Both teams did a good job of that. First meeting decided by exactly 1 point on a buzzer beater by Malachi Moreno. He checks back in after early foul trouble. 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes. He's yet to score. Jelavic tried to work it inside. These two teams have played a lot of close halves this season. Jelavic in the box out by Nwoko. Kentucky, the 9 seed. LSU, the 16 seed. As Big Blue Nation opening up this year's SEC tournament. Coming off the loss against Florida on Senior Day, game that Cats were competitive after the Gators created some separation. McKinnon, 1-point affair. And that's on Aberdeen. You can't be slow and lazy getting over a screen. You've got to get over the screen and get back in front. He just stayed behind the ball handler and McKinnon. John, is there nervous energy on this side of the floor with the Cats? Are you sensing any of that, knowing how important it is to start fast here in this tournament? I sense it from the people in the stands. Poked away by Tamba. It will stay on this end. We've talked about urgency. Urgency is how you communicate, how you cut, how you move. But defensively, fight over the screen. Break a sweat. Get back and be a defender. That is far too easy for Max McKinnon to just get an easy layup. You need to make that man work. Moreno back to Oweh. That's a 3. And McKinnon, the rebound, a foul on the floor. Todd Austin baseline. Whistle came in. This will go against LSU. It's going to be on Tamba for the pass blocking. Sometimes quick shots go up and you don't have your body in position to go turn around and block out. So you go become a right tackle and pass block. Second on Tamba. Oweh swatted by Nwoko back to the floor. And no goaltending called just yet, but a foul. The process of the shot. 46-45. Kentucky at 19-12, 10-8 in the SEC. Picked 4th in the preseason poll. Struggled down the stretch. Oweh did his part. Certainly was consistent. And 5-8 against the AP top 25. Tigers picked up 2 fouls in 2 seconds there. I think there are some coaches that struggle with a lack of continuity more than others, and I think Mark Pope's one of them. He's a guy that wants to develop options throughout the course of the year, and when you've got great talent, you've got to be able to teach him. Here's option 1. Here's your next option based on the read. Here's your 3rd, 4th, 5th option. Then you can let the game be played. Right now, I think he's got to dictate too much because they haven't had the continuity to get to all the options he likes to teach. Consistency has been an issue. Moreno on the side swipe. Well, he took a monster step in the paint. And Oweh picks up his first. But, I mean, it's a thing, and Kentucky fans have talked about the injuries, the substitution patterns. Fatigue has been something that we referenced in the first half, and Mark Hope has talked about that a lot recently in his post-game press conference post-Florida. Oh, what a dunk by Tamba! Put him on a poster! Tamba out of nowhere! Oh, that was filthy.
I mean, insult to injury. Wow. Garrison just late to the party and then gets the door shut in his face. Might be a little off arm. I wonder if we're going to review this. That would just be silly and weird at the same time. It's here. I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably going to be a flagrant one just because he hit the head. Oh, Lord.
A lot to unpack. Tied at 47 on the monster jam by Pablo
Previous call
Tamba.
on the floor is a no call. We're taking a look at the activity following the dunk.
Moreno trying his very best to defend the rack. Pablo Tamba would have none of it. And plenty to unsort. When we get back here in Nashville, Moreno appears to be okay.
Yeah. No, not at all. And that was a really good offensive possession. Moreno just a step behind the play. Pablo Tamba with a terrific finish. I think the problem is there needs to be areas within the rules where we can say, here's a little gray area. Sometimes within a free-flowing, fast-paced game, things happen. They're not intentional. And I know officials are not supposed to judge intent, but let's just be real. That's just what happens in a game that moves this fast. High-level athletes, I just want to celebrate that play and continue on this game, but we've got to stop, take a look, and that's going to be a flagrant one. I don't like it, but it is what it is.
Moreno will get one more.
Are you with me on the refs wearing gray shirts instead?
That would be one way to do it.
Right? Game is played in one within the nuanced gray. There are no absolutes in this free-flowing, skill-based game that we now have that we call professional college basketball. I just think it's going to be really hard to officiate the level of talent we have if so many of the rules are strictly black and white. The officials are held accountable to get everything right. It also stalls the game a little bit. Let's see if that impacts anybody.
Kentucky gets it back, 49-47. That felt like a momentum play for LSU. Instead, it ends up being two the other way for Kentucky. And now with possession. Away from 15.
Wow.
And perhaps now a spark.
It feels like a bigger basket than it probably is because of that momentum shift that you just talked about.
McKinnon comes up short. Little ping pong around. And McKinnon delivers in traffic. He's got 14.
I think Moreno for Kentucky is chasing the play. Garrison was far more effective when he was out there. Moreno not even making an impact on the defensive rebounding.
Offensive foul. Oweh can't believe it. And he'll pick up his second personal.
This is just Oweh's shot. When you get to certain, oh, that's going to be an offensive foul too, but that was as obvious as it gets. Although I would argue if I was the offensive player, well, who created the foul?
Right. I think that's what Ortega was talking about. Sutton out to McKinnon. And the ball seems to find him in the second half. King tracked down by Chandler. 3 minutes in, an interesting beginning to our second half. Game 1 of 2026 SEC men's basketball tournament here in Nashville. First of 4 games today, Aberdeen. Oweh from 16.
I've been critical of Kentucky and not pushing in transition, or at least playing with urgency once you get the basketball. But I think I got to stop at some point and say a big piece of that is LSU's transition defense. Their communication starts the second Kentucky gets the ball. They're getting back off 5C the basketball, but they start to communicate. That allows the initial stop of the surge. And then they reset, and then Kentucky is somewhat held back a bit.
Fast break points only 7-6. Advantage LSU there. Cam Williams back on the court. Mark Pope didn't really know how many minutes Cam would be able to go today. Coming back from the broken foot, he has been incredible in his return. Nwoko bumped on the way to the rack. He continues to draw fouls.
But Moreno is a step behind the play. He's involved in a lot of activity, but he's also involved in managing Mike Nwoko, who is active himself. I just think you can't be a step behind the play if you're going to try to deal with Nwoko, who's just been involved in everything.
Nwoko 5 of 6 at the line, now 5 of 7. It's a one-point game between these two teams on January 14th. And back and forth we have gone today. They did change that foul to Dioubate. It's a one-point game now, so that's the third on Dioubate instead of Moreno. Aberdeen in traffic. He'll get the roll.
That explains why there haven't been many turnovers. One guy had the basketball, ran a simple little dummy action for it, creates space, and then he makes a play.
Game that has been very crisp. Reese, the floater.
LSU continues to have an answer. And they're not being too patient in getting into an attack.
Aberdeen for 3. Good strike there, off the mark. Here comes LSU. Tigers' last lead came at 17-16. Nwoko with the skip pass to King. Nwoko in the right place, the spin. Now to King, finds a way. LSU back in front. (54-53).
Even that possession, Kentucky tried to push it up, but nothing there. LSU got back.
Foul, McKinnon trying to track Williams, couldn't do it. Called for his first. Timeout on the floor. 5 minutes into our second half. Emotions running high in Music City, and Kentucky being pushed by LSU. The 9 versus the 16. And away we go here in Nashville. Here in Music City, that gold basketball, we touched it earlier today. It is beautiful, it is real and spectacular. As we remind you, the SEC Now crew is also all of the above. A complete breakdown of the day with highlights, analysis, interviews with coaches and players. Surely Peter Burns got the Seinfeld reference. 1-point game, John Crispin, Roy Philpott 5 minutes in. And some nervous energy at Bridgestone right now. You can feel it courtside, and for Kentucky, playing in this first game of the SEC tournament, it has been a different kind of start once again.
The key is, if you're Kentucky, don't turn that into try to control the game. Still have to play freely.
Corner 3, Williams, no. Oweh, aggressive on the glass, no. Dioubate, yes!
Effort and energy plays help alleviate a lot of what we just talked about. That nervous energy where you've got another side of the floor, which is LSU. They've got optimism. They sense opportunity.
Diobate's been so efficient this year in a multitude of ways. 3 fouls he's working with today. McKinnon will get the bounce. He used every inch of the rim to get there.
It's just amazing how a simple face cut, you just cut right in front of the defense and you get a wide open 8-footer from Max McKinnon.
Oweh has had that shot the entire second half. Opted against it that time to Garrison. Cut by Aberdeen, and a great pass by the Kentucky big.
I'm telling you, they're a different offense when Garrison's on the floor. Also defensively, Garrison the best communicator as they got back. He's got to play significant minutes if they want to extend this lead here late in the second.
They talked about playing together more this week coming into Nashville. The Oklahoma State transfer. And now Reese. Nwoko somehow got it to Sutton. He'll go to work. Sutton's been held in check so far until now. So Sutton with 9 points after that bucket.
And that started on the backside where Aberdeen just falls asleep, gives up the offensive rebound, then loses position. Late help. Too easy.
Every Kentucky basket, LSU has had a response. A lot of time left. Dioubate, the handoff to Garrison. Too easy.
Oh, if he gets to his left shoulder, his right hook, it's 80%. I know we track everything these days. That would be an interesting. How many left shoulder, right hook shots from inside 5 feet does he make? It's incredible.
Our stats man, Mike Nataro, certainly can start tracking that right now.
His eyeballs got big.
He got excited. There's a steal. Cam Williams. Lost the handle, fouled by Reese.
Good action, urgency. Urgency is communication, but I think Garrison's been terrific with the basketball. He set that up. You set it up with your eyes, you set it up with your voice. Defenders start thinking too much, you make the right read. And once you're able to impact the basketball game by passing and setting your players up, you put yourself in position. Well, there was no space on that play whatsoever, but he just elevates over the top and finishes. That's a different team with Garrison on the floor. And he's their best communicator defensively, which means more than you know.
Aberdeen wide open. What is the pressure like? What is the stress like for a team expected to do something, for a team expected to win a couple of games, to improve its resume in front of this crowd? As we get deeper into the contest, and it's still a one-point affair.
Oh, it's tough. You're constantly living up to the expectation if you play for Kentucky, but you have to match the effort with the expectation as they have the last couple of possessions. Kentucky has played with much better effort, much better communication. And look, if you have to stress a little bit to find urgency, figure out what it takes to get stressed, because when they play with urgency, they're good. I just go back to, I think Garrison is a difference maker when he's in the game. He brings life, he brings options on both ends of the ball.
Dioubate with 4 points now with 5. The second foul on Nwoko. And he's talking over on the LSU bench right now with Matt McMahon's staff. Aberdeen's going to get a breather, and Oweh will as well.
Interesting possession here, because I feel like Kentucky's starting to sense that they can start to dictate this game. This is a big possession with the under 12 coming out. If Kentucky's able to get a stop and score before that timeout, it'll feel different.
McKinnon.
Before that happens.
Had a wide open path to the bucket. 18 on the board for Max McKinnon.
It's like personnel identification is an issue. Like, he's a guy you got to be concerned with.
Dioubate, the answer.
Right. Another opportunity for a big stop.
Dioubate with 7, McKinnon the other way. And McKinnon a chance for 3. He has been relentless in this second half.
That has been the story of the game. Kentucky starting to surge. Kentucky finally playing with urgency. The problem is you've given LSU too much confidence. They're not afraid. They're not concerned whatsoever. They run good stuff. You get lost. Max McKinnon gets easy baskets. It hasn't been high-level basketball. It's just been simple playmaking. Max McKinnon making it look really easy. I think the Kentucky defense is a big piece of that. Hard to pull away if you can't get that stop. I'll tell you what, Roy, buckle up. If you think it was stressful a few seconds ago, wait till we come back from break.
It's time to take a look at today's extra effort brought to you by Regions Bank. If you're an LSU fan, a little bit of Max McKinnon is good. More is better. We've gotten a lot more in the second half.
Well, he's been terrific. 20 points on the night, shooting it well. The problem is, if you're Kentucky, make him uncomfortable out off the basketball. If he gets the ball, completely take his pride from him with ball pressure, with energy, with effort. All the things, just urgency on the basketball. Get it out. You've allowed Max McKinnon to be comfortable with the basketball, without the basketball, and he's been able to dictate where he wants to go with and without.
10 second half points, 5 of 6 here in the last 8.5 minutes. 8 of 9 going back to the first half. A lot of numbers, and McKinnon missed the free throw. Kentucky's lead remains at 2.
And I understand what fans feel. Fans want to see pride. It's not just how you win, it's also how you lose. You've got to put forth the energy, the effort, be determined enough to control the game. They haven't done that, and it's allowed LSU to stay in it.
Props to Matt McMahon as well for having his guys, this team ready to go. Garrison missed the dunk. How did that happen?
Mark Pope's talked about fatigue. If I'm Mark Pope, I'm going to Garrison and I'm saying, I don't care how tired you get. You're too important right now. He has won position. He's been mobile. He's made him work. He's been used as a passer and a spacer and a playmaker. And as I said before, he's their best communicator on the defensive end.
65% free throw shooter. Sutton picks up his first. Shade under 5 points per game this season. And Garrison with 9 so far today. And John, if you're telling me that this is just a precursor and just a small nugget of what's to come this week,
you see it,
and it feels like that it is. Buckle up, as you like to say.
You say that a lot.
If I had a seatbelt, I would do that here, but I don't, so I can't. Lead is 3. Tamba had an incredible dunk moments ago and was called for a flagrant foul on the follow-through. Chandler right in the kitchen of King. And now here's the hot hand McKinnon. Wow. That continues.
Wow.
Max McKinnon in takeover mode.
He's too comfortable moving without the basketball. That was something that NBA figured out pretty early. When Reggie Miller would move, make him uncomfortable. Take him off his line without the ball.
Oweh bottled up by King. Garrison thinking about a 3 and delivers. His 3rd 3 of the season.
That opens the floor. They've used him as a ball mover. They've used him in the block, and now he's going to space out.
Big Blue Nation on its feet. Big possession for LSU. Here's King from the corner. Momentum on the side of Big Blue. Well, Garrison wanted the backdoor cut, thought better of it, wisely so. Garrison again. Yes! (71-64). We are back in Nashville in 30 seconds. Just as we all anticipated, the Brandon Garrison three-point show on full display the last 60 seconds.
We've been talking a lot about Brandon Garrison, and we've said we need urgency, right? Where's the urgency? How about just good energy, good communication? Talk to your teammates. It establishes who you are on the floor. Now they're looking for him. They're playing through him. It is a different game with Brandon Garrison's on the floor. An even more different game. Differenter, maybe, when he's making threes.
On this season, he's made 2 triples. In the last minute here at the SEC tournament, he's made 2.
They are a better team when he's on the floor. I don't care how tired he gets. He brings energy to this group, and it has lifted and gotten this crowd involved in a good way.
Lob Nwoko broken up by Dioubate. Now it's Aberdeen. High off the glass. 1
Oh, I got him.
Rob Rourke just teed up Aberdeen.
Oh, you got to know better. I saw it, and if it could, he gave a little tongue wag to Nwoko on the floor. The problem is it continued. And Rob Rourke saw it, let the first one go, but because it continued, he hit him. He's going to look down at Nwoko after he makes this, by the way, terrific finish. The first one, we're going to let you slide, but the jawing continues. Rob Rourke got him. Not in this situation. You got to know situations. Capitalize on a moment. Don't give it away.
I didn't see the second tongue wag. McKinnon's going to shoot the technicals.
I think there was some choice words.
McKinnon, the Lone Ranger, at the stripe. Carries the second.
It feels different when Kentucky wakes up. And I think there's got to be a piece of this fan base that watches the last couple possessions and almost throws their hands up and says, yeah, that's it. Energy, effort, urgency, attack, be the aggressor. Make mistakes, but make aggressive mistakes. Communicate, say the wrong thing, so what? At least you're communicating.
8-1 run in favor of Kentucky. Approaching 9 to play, game 1, the SEC tournament.
High low opportunity.
Screen for McKinnon, throws it to Tamba, outside to Carter. Tamba taps it to himself, in traffic.
This is where, if you're Kentucky, you can be a little bit more patient. It doesn't mean you have to run the shot clock down, but you can be patient in terms of initiating good action that's going to give you an advantage.
Cats led by as many as 9 points in the first half before LSU rallied. Bucket here makes it their largest advantage. Dioubate, a scrum, and the whistle with the kick ball will keep it on this end.
I wouldn't describe that as an advantage with Dioubate in the post on Mike Nwoko. I think you've got to be able to understand the situation you're in. If a defense converges, get it back out and get it moving. There's nothing there. Broken play that they almost get away with one, bailed out by the kick ball.
LSU coming in at 3-15 in the league. You wonder, the Tigers have one more run, a couple of more stops. A season filled with injuries against this Kentucky team. Here's Chandler. LSU takes a deep breath. Jalen Reese launching. Early in the shot clock, Tigers have missed their last 5. Here's Oweh. No problem.
So on one end, Jalen Reese misses the fact that Aberdeen's stuck on Mike Nwoko. They don't throw it inside. You take a bad 3, it leads to an easy layup for Oweh as this lead continues to expand, now to double digits.
Oweh with 18, largest lead of the afternoon now for Big Blue. Nwoko lowered the shoulder, offensive foul.
There are moments in a game that if you capitalize on the moment, you can take a 4-point lead and turn it into 10. Other times you miss the moment, you allow another team to stay in a game they shouldn't be in. This is what you should see from Kentucky. Urgency on the defensive end, high levels of communication, and then attack. Capitalize on the fact that you are loaded with talent. Play in a way that allows you to live up to the expectations you have, both internally and externally.
Brandon Garrison, 15 points, 5 rebounds to lead this Kentucky charge in the second half.
A lot of it started in the paint. The little left shoulder right hook, he's been terrific. And then they use him as a ball mover. Then why not a 3-point shot maker? This is what got the crowd back into the game. But what I like is his energy, his effort. We talk about urgency. You've got to be able to communicate. He's been your best communicator. Talk about effort. He's been your guy. I don't think I would not take him out of the game for the rest of the game.
Mr. Energy, 2 of 7 from 3. Both of those shots buried by Garrison for LSU. bit of a different story, and I was told there would be no math. I'm going to give it to you anyways. The first 498 minutes for Brandon Garrison this season, he hit 2 3-pointers. In that span of just 49 seconds, he hit 2 3-pointers. And sometimes that's what's needed to be able to kind of get things rolling for Big Blue.
Such as basketball, that's why having the scout as an opponent, that stinks.
Oweh just inside the arc. And Reese able to grab the board. Lead at 10, Nwoko position. And swatted out by Garrison. There he is again.
He's matching the energy and the mobility of Mike Nwoko, and I think that has more of an impact on the game than what you would see in the stats.
Nwoko another double-double today. That is now happening back-to-back games for Big Mike. First 2 double-doubles of the year. He has been active and with possession against Chandler. McKinnon, they'll spin it around. And Sutton is short. Noah dash. Garrison is there.
Brandon Garrison got to the rim first. And if you're LSU, that can't happen. But it goes back to everything we've been praising him for. Energy, effort, mobility. He's been the guy.
Winner of this game gets the 8th seed Mizzou tomorrow. Winner of that game will get Florida, the number 1 seed in this year's SEC tournament. And McKinnon in slow motion off glass.
It continues, but on the other end, once again, Brandon Garrison, he showed you the threes, that's great, but listen, defensive rebound, and he will beat everyone to the rim. And great find by Chandler. Little look off, opens a passing lane, and he finds him. I always say reward the big man.
How good as a guard does it feel when you have the look away and then the no-look delivery and it's pinpoint accuracy for a dunk like that?
I've never passed that much, but I bet it feels good.
I believe you had, I think, 6, maybe 7 assists in your Penn State/UCLA career. Sounds right.
Probably close.
McKinnon has been on a heater. He's got 25. And now scored the last 9 LSU points.
I will say that's a bit of a head scratcher too. When you see a guy going off for 25 and getting good looks and getting to the rim, where's the pride in shutting that down? I'd be challenging teammates for that.
Stephen Pearl's going to be challenging his team against Josh Hubbard in our second game in a similar vein as Oweh missed the corner three.
Glad you picked up what I was putting down.
I tried to. McKinnon, that would have been big. Oweh on the move. And fade by McKinnon. Right there in front of Todd Austin. He had something to say. And it's just a common foul.
McKinnon, look, it's a foul. There's no question. It's a foul. It would have been a layup. They had numbers. It's not a bad foul at that.
His 3rd personal.
I also think this is an LSU team that at this point, we got to start talking about fatigue for LSU. They're tired. Egregious but body. Brandon Garrison just got a nice ovation going to the bench.
I mean, he has been everything to Mark Pope in this team today. Oweh, tucking the bonus the rest of the way. Big miss on the front end. Cats trying to keep their resume where it needs to be and improve it a little bit more before Selection Sunday. 10 teams projected in by Joe Lenardi, our ESPN bracketologist. As it stands now, Auburn currently the first team out. Sutton right before the buzzer, and he comes up short.
Best defensive possession of the day for Kentucky. And I was questioning because Moreno came in the game, and you just wonder, are they going to lose a little of that communication or the intensity? No. Good defensive possession at a key moment in the game.
Garrison doing his very best to stay hydrated over on the Kentucky bench. Aberdeen, a little body contact. And King able to nab it from Moreno. Now we mentioned game 2, Auburn, and well, there's Josh Hubbard All he did the last time that he tangled with the Tigers was put up 35 points and 9 threes in the first half in an upset win against AU.
35 points in a half leaves a mark. It leaves an absolute mark. And when you're the most important player in the game for both teams, that's a special dude right there.
So we talked to him yesterday. I said, what happened in that first meeting? He goes, I took it personal for reasons that he didn't have to explain. I said, what about tomorrow? And he said that same vibe persists against this Auburn team.
Is that a tease for our next game? You going to pay that one?
I will, perhaps in our own. Stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere.
Correct. Moreno one more. Lead at 10. Now 11. LSU hasn't had a player outside of Max McKinnon score nearly 8 minutes.
From Kentucky at that foul line, I'm telling everybody, yo, that was a great defensive possession. Let's replicate it.
Do you have to say yo in front of it?
I do.
Nwoko, strong, powerful finish over Moreno.
Not bad. You forced a tough shot. The problem is Moreno just let him dribble to the opposite side of the basket, undeterred.
Cats got to have this one. Lost 5 of 7. Trying to start a run, ignite a fire in Nashville. Oweh on the reverse. Nwoko clears. McKinnon to Reese, big if it goes, and it does not. Tracked down by Sutton, hesitated, he'll get it back again, and deliver. 79-72, 4 minutes to go. It's not over yet, and Mark Pope wants to call a timeout. 3:58 remaining. A bittersweet symphony for Kentucky basketball this year, and work to do to close it out in Music City. The Kentucky Wildcats, game 1 of the SEC men's basketball tournament, off and running, and moments ago a 12-point advantage. That lead has been sliced down to 7, and here comes LSU finding a way. With Brandon Garrison out of the game, Nwoko does his thing, a little Markel Sutton, and just enough juice for the Bayou Bengals to be the hang-around team with under 4 minutes to go. Do you like the timeout? And did they call the timeout to get Garrison back on the floor? Because the last 3 minets, Big Blue hasn't scored.
From my perspective, absolutely, I would do it. You feel good if you're LSU, and then you time out and double dart Brandon Garrison's back in. They're better on both sides of the floor with him in there.
A couple of free throws during that stretch. No made field goals. Garrison checks back in, the communicator. Blue guy, the scorer, the three-point specialist.
He's also got 17 in the game.
Aberdeen hung in the air forever. Chandler, too strong, and Nwoko. His last touch by Kentucky. Dioubate doing the spin move, asking for the review.
I did some mid-major championships prior to this, and there was a question whether they had the staff to look at these and say whether to review or not. Something tells me Kentucky has the resources to have that staff member.
It's a lot of pressure on the iPad guy.
Oh, I don't want to be that guy.
You got to walk back home if you have a misstep.
You need hazard pay.
McKinnon, the backdoor cut. Monster step. He may have gotten away with a travel. In fact, he did, and Dioubate clears. Couple of pivot feet exchange there.
That was a monster walk.
Another big possession for Big Blue, leading by 7, approaching 3 to go. Winner gets Mizzou. Here's Chandler. Dioubate. Not really his game, and Kentucky fortunate off the leg of Tamba, and it caroms out of bounds.
Maybe Diobate's like, I got this too.
3 of 22 from distance this year for number 23.
Hey, looks like it. Just airmailed that one to the opposite block. It was such a bad miss that it was hard to rebound.
Well, look, I'm watching Brandon Garrison drain threes all afternoon. Why not me?
Now Garrison's going out.
Yep. Garrison checks out. 3 off his season high. The lob too high for Oweh. An opening for LSU. Jalen Reese high off the glass, making it rain.
All right, LSU just created an opportunity for a moment with the stop. A stop here in a 5-point game with 2:50 left. It's bigger than you know. Little momentum in their favor.
Oweh sensing that. Oweh connects. Goaltending to call it, dropped anyways. That'll stop a 9-2 run for LSU.
But it's the quick, decisive moves. That time when you catch and turn and identify and take your time, it also allows the defense to see the basketball and get set. He was quick and decisive, kind of creates his own angle. Terrific finish. Now Brandon Garrison back in.
And Oweh with the contact on McKinnon. That'll be his third. Another 20-point performance for Oweh. Second team all-conference, understandably so. And John, you'd kind of like to get him going even sooner in a lot of these games, wouldn't you?
Yes, I mean, sometimes patience is a curse. I mean, Ochai Agbaji was like that at times at Kansas, where you just said, like, get going. Like, you ended up with 30. But it took you a while to get going. Some guys find the game. Now, what you need is a point guard that helps you find it sooner. I think that's really what it comes down to. Somebody who can initiate, establish, and sustain something. That would help Otega Oweh quite a bit.
LSU at the free throw line, 9 of 14. McKinnon just 2 of 4. 89% on the season. Putting up for second in the SEC. Front end of the 1-and-1, and he drains it. LSU within striking distance. Tigers have not faded quietly here in Nashville. McKinnon with 17 in the second half. Big reason why. Well, don't you love this time of year? You can feel it. The nervousness, the fact that if LSU loses, their season ends, and Matt McMahon's hoping he's going to be around for his 5th campaign next year. Look, he's dealt with all the injuries. He's been snake bitten. He hasn't had his 2 best players all year, and today, without Robert Miller, who didn't make the trek due to a violation of team rules, like you're just waiting for Coach McMahon to have a full-strength roster to see what he can do.
I think the level of compete with this LSU team, it doesn't go unnoticed, at least from my perspective. I think we're so outcome-oriented that we define in any other way.
Aberdeen a little shake and bake, penetrating. And an offensive foul. McKinnon hit the deck.
They're also going to review, and I think it was Brandon Garrison on the seal.
And that is the call, the foul on Garrison. And Mark Pope beside himself. This review is going to tell us a lot. LSU's going to get possession one way or another on the offensive foul call.
It's always tough as a player when you do what you're told to do. Roll hard.
The call on the floor is a common offensive foul against 10 from Kentucky. That plays under further review by the officials.
A little bit of a hook and hold there as you see the grasp of the jersey and the takedown.
It is. And look, he did the right thing. He just executed it poorly. You've got to get wide with your base. If you're going to hold the seal, which is open up the lane for Aberdeen, you need to get low and wide. He stayed high, and that's what happens a lot when you're tired, too. You stand up and you use your arms. It wouldn't shock me to see another flagrant one.
81-76, an important review coming up. What a baseball.
I can't wait for his novel explanation.
It's been rock solid today.
He's the best.
Following the review, the common foul against 10 from Kentucky has been confirmed. It'll be LSU ball on a spot throw in with 30 on the shot clock. That is a team and personal foul. Offensive foul, so there will be no bonus free throws.
They don't even have to come talk to us.
That's how it should be.
It's awesome. I think it's awesome. And I recommend that KB Burdett's the one to say it every single time. You could create a new position.
Just have his voice do it almost like Siri with the iPhone.
Yeah, good.
You could just do it everywhere. Automate the whole process.
If I could have his voice on, that'd be good.
Absolutely.
I like the common foul. It's one that if you're Brandon Garrison, you got to be careful of. I like the idea, but you have to fight through fatigue so you don't get that foul.
Huge possession for LSU, trailing by 5. Bucket makes it a one-possession game. Lob Nwoko. Right past his outstretched fingertips and out of bounds. Turnover number 9 for LSU.
If Mike Nwoko gets sideways and holds his seal, that pass is there. He was kind of chest to chest with the defender and just couldn't release.
Under 2 to play. Kentucky has it. It's a 1-point game 52 days ago in Baton Rouge. Nip and tuck for the most part until lately in this second half today. Cats have led by as many as 12. Came at 77-65. Surrey and Dennis Gates await the winner of this one. Winner of that matchup gets Florida the next day. After the elusive double by Oweh. Try to track it down. Tiptoes inbounds. And a fresh 20. Will buy some time.
That's tough. That is tough if you're LSU. You forced a tough shot. Just couldn't get the rebound.
Oweh. That is good. Big time shot for 0-0.
Big shot, but probably an even better possession. It puts urgency on the game for LSU. Scored quickly.
Cats with 83 points today. Bam Adebayo scored 83 by himself last night. Former Kentucky great. Now it's Reese. Response on the other end. 49.6 to go. And the lead back to 5, and Matt McMahon and LSU will call a timeout.
But playing through Oweh, it's just such a tough cover, and it's a tough cover because he's skilled. It's an even tougher cover because of his physicality. His physicality cleared the way to get that rebound and just keeps a possession alive. And then now you just okey-doke, pull-up jumper. That, to me, was a dagger in this game. LSU scored. Still a 5-point game, but that hurts a little bit more because of the offensive rebound.
Are they trying to extend this game here by starting the fouling process? And Kentucky already in that double bonus, or do you try to play out of possession and maybe...
I think it's tough. I think you got to apply pressure. The problem is you look at the size of the guards for LSU versus who's on the floor for Kentucky. Kentucky has the decided advantage in terms of length, height, being able to pass over the top. So you can't trust your abilities to get a trap that leads to a steal. If anything, the trap opens the floor, makes it even harder to get that foul. So I would understand if you look to foul pretty quickly once the ball gets inbounds. You've got to extend the basketball game as much as possible.
Let's see. Oweh with 22, Garrison with 17.
I think so many decisions in late game situations are entirely personnel based. We get into it from an analytical standpoint and think, do this. The reality is you've got to understand your personnel.
Full court pressure being applied. 2-possession game. Chandler will draw the double team. Nearly traveled. Matt McMahon beside himself.
Yep, there it is.
And the foul on Aberdeen. 79% free throw shooter. That 1 of 2 at the line today.
That was executed very well for LSU. I think they all but got this. That's a travel. Maybe they're saying he lost the ball, but I think they forced a travel. That would have been a turnover. And as the ball's advanced, you got your foul. But good execution in the backcourt there with defense.
Now you go back to the end of the Florida game, and you had that situation where Florida players stepped out of bounds right there on the end line, and Mark Pope will get a little bit of that karma back today. Aberdeen, some big free throws here. Clutch.
You also have to be talking amongst one another. Some coaches can tell you as much as they want. The reality is guys on the floor need to be communicating. If they're pressuring, we need help. Key is getting the basketball in bounds if you're Kentucky.
2 of 2 for Aberdeen. Does LSU need a 3 on this possession in your mind?
No, you need a quick one. You need to extend the basketball game. Sometimes you seek out a 3, it takes too much time.
Reese off the switch by Oweh.
Tick, tick, tick.
Gotta go. Now it's Tamba's turn. Try to create some contact and eventually does. Problem is only 21.1 seconds remain.
That's why you don't settle for a 3. The slow developing play to try to get a corner 3 on a baseline runner, it took way too long. 19 seconds off the clock when you don't have them to spare. you've got to be able to score quickly. The key is in the next possession, being able to get your defense set. Much easier to get a layup and your defense set for that full court pressure.
Free throws have been a problem for LSU today and also for Combo.
Right.
John, no quit in these Tigers.
No, not at all. Not at all. You can't say enough about what they've dealt with throughout the course of the season, too. Everybody has injuries. Their two best players are out. I think you can't say enough about what that means, but also the response from the guys left on the floor. They fought all season.
And we saw Jalen Reed and DJ Thomas at shoot-around yesterday and making the trek and supporting their teammates.
I think the initial gut punch of losing Guy for a second straight season, you understand that's an emotional toll on kids. That exposes a fear in guys, a reality that we're mere mortals, and we are lucky to be a part of this game, but it's hard to see that happen.
Oweh 6 of 9 at the line, and McKinnon back in. And the Auburn Tigers in the building. Keyshawn Hall, leading scorer the Big 12 last year. Now with the Auburn Tigers this campaign, leading the charge on the Plains.
You know what I would want to be for Auburn? I would want to be the dude that gets to be Josh Hubbard in the scout. What a fun job.
Pulling a lot of threes under duress. And Dioubate, no reason to foul there with 13 and change.
I mean, these are things, these are head scratchers as a coach where you're saying, we just talked about it. There's just no reason. If you can get them to change sides, right, change directions, you take a couple extra seconds off the clock, but there is no reason to touch anybody at this point.
Dioubate just fouled out. He has provided some minutes and a bit of a spark at times. He's been involved, and Moreno's going to come back on the floor.
Let's give Max McKinnon a little love, too. What a great performance. I mean, he really lit it up. I think Kentucky's defense at times helped, but he was aggressive on and off the ball and looking to score.
And 28 points, the Aussie. Transferred in from Portland a couple of seasons at Elon. I think KB Burdett wants to take a look at something here. And he's going to send both teams back to their respective benches.
Well, I get the sense that he was coaxed into it by Coach McMahon. There's a lot of arm gestures expressing what he felt may or may not have happened.
The call on the floor is a common foul against 23 from Kentucky. That play is not under further review. There is some activity in the post that the LSU head coach is appealing for an unobserved flagrant foul during the same sequence.
You can boo now, that's fine, but if it turns out to be the case, that would just be completely silly if you're Kentucky. I mean, composure in a late game situation, I mean, no, let it go. I'm all right with that. Take a look at it and go say, no, coach, we're good. But you've got to understand, no touchy's the rule at this point. Just don't touch anybody.
Period.
Tie your hands behind your back. Move your feet. Give up a layup, for crying out loud. But no touching. Goodness. This is why I do this and don't coach. Lose my mind.
I think you lost your mind on air a couple of times this year, and I mean that in the most respectful way.
No, I have. Reviews are one that gets me. My issue is the excessive reviews often tend to favor one team and not the other, and I think that's why it's something we really got to get control of. And obviously the SEC is a big piece of that. They're at the forefront.
Well, the stoppages break up the rhythm, and that chaotic start-stop tends to favor one team over another.
Favors the team that wants to dictate the pace of the game.
Following the review, that was an unsuccessful appeal by LSU. They have been charged a timeout. The official score says they have no timeouts remaining. Resumption of play will be point of interruption, which will be bonus free throws for LSU.
Now, the SEC has done a remarkable job this year, making sure that that entire review process has been sped up and according to plan.
Roy, that's a job that's not going to be done. The game is moving so fast. I mean, look how quickly we got to where we are from an NIL standpoint. The game itself is getting faster, more fluid, more skill-based, more pro style. So we're constantly going to try to keep up with the game that's being played. God bless the guys that have to do it.
Well, a very bright future for this young man, Jalen Reese, just a freshman out of Orlando, pressed into starting point guard duty. The injury to DJ Thomas. And you look at what he's done today, the 10 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists for number 2 in the purple and gold. Add one more to the tally, 86-80. And Chandler going to be bottled up and fouled quickly. 12 seconds to go. I mean, nothing about this game for that man, Mark Pope, has come easy. And much like this entire season, at 19-12, 10-8 in the league, it's been far from easy. There have been ups, there have been downs, and this is just kind of more out of that same book of, okay, they're good, but how good can they be, and what's going on underneath the surface?
Well, I think there are times throughout the season when you have injuries, you have availability issues, and you kind of throw your hands up and say, what now? At this point in the season, you understand what you've got. It's got to be a focus on now what? Right now what? What are we going to do next? What did we do well? How can we capitalize on that? How can we dictate the game? How can we initiate action and pace early in the game? That's something they've got to be talking about. I think the most impressive thing in this contest was the fact that LSU was able to score with Kentucky early. I think it would be a different story if Brandon Garrison had been in more in the first half, because his defense lifted the entire team, particularly with his communication.
You mean his three-point shoot?
That too.
Off the miss, 87-80. Time winding down. King will do what he can with the left hand. And off the glass. Under 4.5 seconds to go. And Matt McMahon saying no foul. Now Kentucky found a different gear in this second half, and it was more than enough. 87-82 the final score. Big Blue Nation advancing to tomorrow to face the Missouri Tigers, and Mark Pope, Matt McMahon shaking hands along with the two staffs after the conclusion of Game 1 of this year's SEC men's basketball tournament.
What people don't understand is how close we get to be to these programs, but not just the programs, the people. These are great times of year, sort of. It's really hard to see a season come to an end when you get to know someone like Matt McMahon. You wish him the best. And God bless the team that fought through a lot of injuries and really competed throughout the entire season. You can't say enough about how close that LSU team was. But now you're starting to see Kentucky finding a little life. A lot of good things done well, a lot of things they can clean up, but I think the optimism should be there.
87-82 the final, and the updated bracket. The Cats to Thursday. The early start again here in Nashville as Mizzou comes calling in the 8 versus 9 matchup. We are just getting started in Music City. A fantastic start. 87-82 our final score. Coming up next, Mississippi State and Auburn. Let's get you up to the fellas. SEC now. Peter Burns, Pat Bradley, Ron Slade. Gentlemen, take it away.